Bigger, better, bolder. Hi, pioneers. My name is Ndimane Rapori, and I'm the Chief Visionary Officer. We took a break in 2024 and we're coming back bigger, bolder, and impactful in 2025. We have changed up things when it comes to our leadership and volunteering processes. We are open for applications and we would like to welcome those who are interested to take up a stand.
Ruhama Ifer is an award-winning gender equality activist and community peacebuilder. As the founder of Trolley Verify Africa, she empowers young people to combat disinformation through digital literacy. Her innovative solutions have earned her recognition at platforms like the Code for Africa Hackathon and Yaga Africa Digital Tech Fair. Through her leadership in initiatives like the Sexual Offences Watch Observers Project, Ruhama has impacted over 5,000 young people, fostering change in attitudes toward gender-based violence. Recognized by the Young Africa Leaders Initiative and named among the top 25 females in peacebuilding, Ruhama is a trailblazer for youth-led change in Africa. Let her passion inspire you to rethink, rebuild, and lead with purpose.
Sibali Zuma is a passionate youth advocate and CEO of Project Youth Say, a youth-led organization driving social change across Africa. With a focus on education, leadership development, and entrepreneurship, Sibali empowers young people to thrive and make an impact in their communities. Her experience includes working with global organizations like Civicus and Amnesty International, and as an opinion writer for The Mail and Guardian, she amplifies critical issues affecting African youth. Sibali's dedication to creating opportunities for young leaders showcases her vision for a brighter, empowered future.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Youth Evolve's webinar titled Inspiring Next Generation, How Can African Youth Organizations Drive Change? We are so glad to have you here today for an exciting and insightful session. Tonight, we're going to dive into an innovative ways as young leaders and how we can make a difference in Africa and beyond. Due to unforeseen circumstances, our panelist, Sibahle Zuma, couldn't join us, and we wish her a speedy recovery. However, we are thrilled to have the incredible Ruhama, whose work and journey are truly inspiring. So let's get started. Hi, Ruhama.
Hi.
Okay. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. So good to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
So good to see you, Ruhama. As you've heard, Ruhama is the founder of Truly Verify Africa, a social enterprise that is dedicated to combating disinformation through digital literacy. Ruhama's work has touched lives, about 5,000 lives of young people, particularly in addressing gender-based violence. Her impactful contributions have earned her accolades from YALI and recognition among top 25 females in peace building by Galaxy for Peace. We are honored to have her with us, and we are about to have a great conversation and learn from you, Ruhama. How is it going that side?
An hour that's 5 p.m. West African time over here in Nigeria. So it's evening time, but it's cool. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
we are glad you're here. And how's the weather? Because here it's really, really hot. How's the weather that side?
It's hot. It's hot. Ideally, this is supposed to be like the Hamatan period, but
Yeah.
somehow, probably because where I'm based, I reside in Lagos, Nigeria. So there's a lot of buildings. The Hamatan is not really like we will say, it's not Hamataning. But if you're in the
Oh,
village, definitely you're going to
yeah.
feel the cold of that because of the trees and the space. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, okay, no, that's quite interesting. I learned something today. Again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let's begin to dive into your journey. I'm so excited to learn from you tonight. So, the first part, I'll ask you about your personal journey, right? What inspired you to begin your journey as a youth activist and a leader?
Thank you so much. This is a very interesting question because my journey has really been one of me evolving, right? At each
Mm,
stage, at each year, each period, it's been about evolving. I started out as a volunteer back then in 2017. I was in my 300 level studying law, and I started out as a volunteer, very curious to know about things, to know what is really obtainable in our society, to know the issues that people are faced with, and how best we can come in to um, reduce the gap that exists and just help to create impacts in the society. And it was through volunteerism that I got introduced into the world of SDGs, Sustainable Developmental Goals. I got to see the issues that women and girls face. I got to see the crisis that, the humanity in general faces, from gender inequality to lack of access to education, to even lack of access to food,
mm,
like quality food and several others. And I realized that, there's a lot of work that needs to be done and all hands needs to be on deck. And that actually led me to create the Youth Evolve. I reached out to you on LinkedIn when I saw the Youth Evolve,
yeah.
South Africa. I was like, wow, this is no, I was like, this is so good because I'm a firm believer in collaboration. So I didn't see it as somebody has our name. What's going on? I'm like, this is fantastic. Somebody has the name Youth Evolve. I checked you out and I saw that, oh,
Yeah.
we even have similar visions and mission. And I'm like, this is great. I
Mm,
look forward to collaborating. That was before you guys went on break. And I was like, I look forward to collaborating because as far as I'm concerned, we are youths and somehow we still have the similar issues that we face worldwide. It's just that it's happening here in Nigeria, it's happening here in South Africa, but we are
mm,
still bounded by that humanity. And so for us, we have evolved, like I said. Youth Evolve came about in 2019. There was that urgent need to address young people not fully participating in elections. So the Youth Evolve came
mm,
about. I served as an election observer with the Center for Democracy and Development. That 2019, we had our general elections. And, even prior
mm,
to the general elections, we had the Not Too Young to Run Act that was assented to by our president then, that is President Muhammadu Buhari. So, for one, I was looking forward to seeing a lot of young people really participate in
mm,
elections, but the reverse was the case, and it got me worried because I'm also a young person, and I was like, wow, I'm excited to be at the polls, but it seems a lot of people do not share that same joy. And from research, we found that a lot of factors that are limiting young people, and that was how the Youth Evolve started. Through our webinars, our dialogues, our workshops, partnering with organizations like Peace First. Peace First is an international peace building organization. Saipan, Commonwealth Youth Peace, Ambassadors Network, and of course Yali Young African Leaders Initiative, because I'm an alumni
mm.
of the Yali Regional Leadership Cohort program. So it's been a journey. We've been evolving. We've gone into other pillars, and now finally Truly Verify Africa. So Truly Verify Africa is the main body. It's like the mother body, and then we have our core pillars, which is the Youth Evolve project, and then the Sexual Offenses Watch Observers.
Mm, mm. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Um, what stands out for me, or what stood out for me when you texted on LinkedIn, was the fact that we also opened the organization. Well, we started working with the Youth Evolve around the same time in the same year, because we started Youth Evolve around 2019 April, and I saw you also had the same project around 2019 April.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that was so interesting. And I was like, well, what a coincidence. But I was like, also, there's no coincidence in this thing. And I think for us with Youth Evolve, the reason why I started the movement Youth Evolve was to help young people to become the best version of themselves. And we do this through mentorship. We have done quite a number of projects around South Africa in general. And what could you share a pivotal moment, or a mentor who shaped your path? What actually drove you to actually do what you do?
Hmm. That's also a very good question. You know, I'm a firm believer in continuous learning, and mentorship has really played a very huge role for me. Back then, I said I started out as volunteerism. To me, that was even a form of indirect mentorship. Why? Because I was working with organizations
Mm,
where, the founders or the chief visionary leaders were people who had, walked the journey, they had gone the path, they had gotten, that connections and networks that, couldn't have been possible if I was not volunteering with them. I couldn't have been able to access that. I don't know if this makes sense to you. So they were not really my direct mentors, but there were people that, because I was working under them, I was being mentored indirectly, from the way they go about organizing projects to the way they go about promoting the visions of their organizations, and just
mm,
propagating the truth about what it is that they do. Yali, that is Young African Leaders Initiative, was actually where
yeah,
I got my major direct mentorship. So for those
mm,
that may not know about Yali, Yali is a fellowship program that was created during his tenure. And in that year, 2019, I applied, I got selected, I was sponsored for a 3 weeks leadership program in Accra, Ghana. And trust me,
mm,
it was mind blowing. Because if you
yeah,
thought that, oh, you have done a lot or you've accomplished, something, which is great, but you get to see people that have really, you know, gone ahead, that have really done a lot, that have really navigated a lot of hurdles that you thought was not possible. And, they're just
mm,
accomplishing things. They're just young people that are just creating impact, both in the government sector, both in the private sector, both in the public sector. So it was really mind blowing, and very, for me, it was a very unique experience. That 3 weeks was
mm,
very unique, very immersive. I got to collaborate and network with people from different countries, from Ghana to Togo, different African countries in West Africa. And coming back, we are also assigned a mentor. One of them was, I was assigned to a facilitator that was based in Ghana, a yearly RLC facilitator. And so he introduced me into the world of public speaking, because prior to then, I wasn't
mm,
so good in public speaking. I shied away from public speaking. But because of the kind of work that I knew that I was going to be doing, which is this advocacy, you need to be at the forefront. You need to speak. You need to communicate, either through
mm,
or either orally or maybe written articles and all of that. And there are ways to go about all of this. So this was where the mentorship
mm.
really played a huge role for me. And since then, I've been able to, it has served as a catalyst and helps me to, accelerate in my growth. So mentorship is very important for everyone, especially young people, no matter the space that you
Mm,
find yourself. Because if you think it's not possible, trust me, there are people that have made it possible. They've achieved, they've navigated, and they can help you to. It's not like a shortcut, but they just help you to avoid those hurdles and that are avoidable, or those mistakes, and then help you to also achieve things greater, in a greater way.
definitely, definitely, definitely. That's quite interesting. So you mentioned about solving the digital literacy and disinformation, and that's how Truly Verify Africa came about. Can you share with us how digital literacy plays a role in combating disinformation and empowering communities?
Yes, that's a very fantastic question. And I like the part where you asked me about my journey, and I told you about how I have evolved,
Mm,
from being a volunteer
yeah.
to setting up Youth Evolve. and now we're having like Truly
Mm,
Verify Africa, because like I said, we've
mm,
been evolving. And for us at Truly Verify Africa, it is just it. In 2019, before the Youth Evolve, there was um,
mm,
a problem. Let me put it that way. I won't say an issue. Let me just say a problem. There was a problem that I
yeah.
identified, which was the fact that young people were not participating fully. I told you before I even
Mm,
started the Youth Evolve, it wasn't like I had so much time on my hands and all of that. But after much research,
mm,
we realized that there were factors that were playing huge role. One of them was disinformation, propaganda.
yeah.
So
Mm,
I don't know how it happens in South Africa, but generally, when it comes to election, there's a lot of propaganda that is
yes.
being propagated, especially through media, from social media to the legacy media, newspapers, and all. That's the print media. There's a lot of news, especially fake news, that fly all over,
Mm,
and many people do not have the time to stop, reflect, and verify. And so they are affected by this news, most times negatively, and it limits their civic participation, it limits their active participation. Because the truth is, in any democratic system of government, active citizenry is the hallmark of democracy. So if citizens are not active, if they're not demanding accountability and transparency, then a lot of things will go wrong in that society. A lot of things will go wrong in that country.
mm,
And for us to actually verify Africa, having identified these problems, we thought it wise to now begin to empower young people on what this information is all about, and how media information
mm,
literacy is the key to helping to curb disinformation. Because when you see a news headline, for instance, the question you need to ask yourself critical questions, critical thinking questions, before you just begin to forward on the WhatsApp groups. Some people want to be the first to share the news. So they want to be the digital journalists. They want to be the first to share the news, so that, you got the news from me. You got the news from me that something happened. Meanwhile, you've not verified the news to know if it's even true or not, or if it's even a recent news, because you see a lot of deep fakes happening. Some old videos, they just bring one headline, and then they just begin to share, and people are just forwarding. You're not asking
mm,
questions, you're not looking at the images, you're not looking at the videos. All of these things are part of what media information literacy is all about. You're not asking questions like, who is behind this, why this particular headline, this particular news, why is it even being shared at this particular time, especially during elections. Because if people take time, like I said, to stop, reflect, and verify, it will help to reduce the spread of fake news that eventually affect people. In
mm,
fact, fake news even lead to hate speech on the internet. Hate speech is becoming very, what's the word now? It's increasing, it's becoming on the increasing end on social media. Hate speech, you see people
mm,
catching crews, like you say, but in the process of catching crews, you're making the other person you're making the other person that is also online to feel uncomfortable, to feel unsafe, because of the kind of words
mm,
that you've used, or because of the kind of clapback that you've used, and in your own mind, you think you're catching crews. This is why there's that need for that regulation on even social media, because some people, under the guise of freedom of
mm,
speech, are already invading into other people's privacy. They're already invading other people's rights, infringing on other people's human rights online, and there's a lot of agitation. So all of these things play important role, and as little as they may seem, because like I said, if you ask some people, they say, "Oh, I'm just catching cruise." As little as that seem, it goes a long way in doing a lot of damage, affecting the self-esteem of people, especially young people. Young people spend a lot of time on the internet. If you check the statistics, it says I think more than 70% or so are even between the ages of um 15 to 18. I can't remember the exact
yeah.
age grade right now, but that does
Mm,
just that much young age, and they spend a lot of time on social media. So the question we need to be asking ourselves is, what are they seeing? What are they receiving? What are they, what's now becoming the norm? Is that supposed to be the norm? Because very soon, if we are not careful, if we're not working hard to curb all of this, it's going to really, really have a serious effect on people, especially mentally. Depression is on the rise. If you check, if you begin to do your research, you see that it comes from the things you even see on social media. People beginning to compare their lives with one another, right? And all of these things, we all have an important role to play, and that's where media information literacy plays a very huge role in curbing disinformation and misinformation. And at this point, I'd like to just put a little clarification between what misinformation is and disinformation. So I'll just quickly summarize. But for misinformation, when the person is sharing a misinformation or an information, rather, now let me not call it misinformation. When this person is sharing an information, the person is sharing it with the intention not to hurt anybody. He or she is
Yeah.
just sharing as per, oh, this is the news that I saw online and I just want to share it, and without realizing that it's actually fake. But for disinformation, there's always that intention that it has to have an effect on that person. And it always starts
Mm.
with emotions. It always begins with emotions. Words are powerful. There are some words you read
Mm.
and you don't know when you even become angry. You begin to hate the other tribe. You begin to hate a particular country just through words. You've not
Yeah.
even come in contact with that person yet. But because of what you read, because of what you heard, and even without
Yeah.
verifying, like I said, a lot of damage has been done. A lot of damage.
Mm. True, true. That's quite interesting because also in South Africa, there's so many misinformation when it comes to how xenophobic the country is. Yes, there are levels of xenophobia, but I've seen on the internet how people circulate like old videos or videos that are not even related to xenophobia, and there's a certain image that has been painted about South Africa in general, and it's like a lot of people when they come, they're like, oh, okay, actually things are not as bad as I thought they were because what I saw on social media is this and this and this and this. So those are some of the problems we face when it comes to misinformation. And I think also the West in general has been given so much bad information in Africa, like about Africa, what Africa, how Africa is about, what kind of continent we are, and all of that. And I think you're doing quite an amazing work in terms of ensuring that the information that is being shared out there is verified.
Thank you.
So what are some tools what are some tools or strategies that truly verify Africa has developed to tackle misinformation?
Okay, thank you. So to answer this question, we we use this three pronged pillars, which we call
Mm-hmm.
educate, inform, and unify. So by
Mm-hmm.
educating, what we mean here is that through our workshops, both online, hybrid, and all of that, we are partnering with organizations that share the same vision with us, and we are reaching out to important stakeholders. So, for
Mm.
instance, CSOs founders, media journalists, people that are in the media, and those that operate around the space of social media influencers, and of course young people in general. Those are our targets. And what we are doing is that through these workshops, we're empowering them to um, we're empowering them with this media information literacy skills. So we're letting them know what is media information literacy skills, and we're letting them know the importance, as well as how best to leverage these tools, because there are a lot of tools that exist,
Mm.
and one of them is
Mm.
fact check. Because
Mm.
if you know how to fact check, you'll be able to reduce the spread of fake news. And fact
Mm.
checking sometimes is as simple, like I said, is as simple as checking if even that website, the URL,
Mm.
the website is even the correct website. It's not a very fishy website. It's as simple
Mm.
as checking the picture and the video, and using a particular tool. Because for instance, even on Google, I think when you use, is it the reverse image or so, you can be able to know if that image is even a recent image or not. There are a lot of several
Mm.
tools right now. Probably later I'll share them with you, that you can just check
Mm.
for video, you can check for text, and then you will know that okay, this particular news came from it came from a particular year and a particular incident that does not even relate to this. Um, even the if you even like that sometimes when you just take some time and you check a particular picture, you even see that even the frame of the head, for instance, is not even proportionate to the body that they've put it to, because all of those
Mm,
things, like I said, they're easy to dictate. But the thing is, fake news is kind of sexy. So, and the way it comes is the first thing you want to think of, like I said, because it appeals to your emotions. Is to just
mm,
immediately share. Oh, let me tell this other person. Let me tell um in the money. I hope you're pronouncing it well. Let me just tell in the money that this is what I saw on the internet. I've not checked. I've not
mhm,
verified. And then immediately I send it to Indimani, and Indimani is becoming agitated, and she's saying, "Oh my God, I can't. I don't think I want to participate in tomorrow's elections, having seen this." Meanwhile, such thing is not happening. Such thing may not even happen. Such thing happened maybe in the past, but that is not even happening in the current situation. But
mm,
because of shared it, I've limited myself, and I've also limited the other person that I've shared it to. So fact
yeah,
checking is one thing that we are doing at Truly Verify Africa, collaborating with organizations. So for instance, like I said, we collaborated with IPC, that's the International Press Center here in Nigeria. They have their own fact checking arm. That is, I think they created it in partnership with UNDP, that's United Nations Development Program, I think. It's called I Verify Africa. So we partner with them and they help us to facilitate this program because they are like experts. They have this
mm,
knowledge and they have the tools. So they help us to facilitate this program, and we're able to reach people. So it's part of a broader goal to reach more people, not just even in Nigeria, but even globally in Africa and in the world. Because for instance, this year 2024 has been a year of elections, and through the articles that we've
yeah,
written, through the workshops that we've had, both for those in Nigeria locally and all of that, it has helped to empower these people to understand that they play a very important role in elections. Now elections is just one of the ways by which through which disinformation occurs. I mean, even in gender equality, right now we're celebrating we're not celebrating, we're commemorating the hashtag 16 days activism, right? And
yeah,
you see people asking questions that I term funny, because I'm like, in this time of an age, why would somebody be asking why gender equality? Why you advocating for women and girls' rights? With all of the issues that are going on, with all of the news trend, women being raped, it's quite funny, but this is why there's a need to curb the disinformation that is being spread
mm,
online. Because it's what they've seen. They just feel like, when you say you're a feminist, for instance, it means that you are a very, very bitter person, very, very bitter
mm,
person. And that's not what really feminism is all about. So there's a lot of demystification, there's a lot of um, awareness that needs to be created around all these topical issues, not just only elections. I'm just using election as an example.
and
Gender
it's
equality
yeah,
and even other SDG goals. Because if and it also comes from a place of information, because you yourself that is trying to now create awareness, you need to be very informed. You need to have knowledge, because it's with that knowledge that you'll be able to debunk GC, that you're able to debunk that disinformation or that fake news. If you don't have a better knowledge, you may also complicate the issue. In the zeal to now debunk that information, you could also be spreading fake news. But if you have the right information, then it can go a long way in helping to reduce the spread of such fake news um, widely.
definitely, definitely, definitely. And you just mentioned, I think something along the gender equality, and I think it's the best time to go to the next question, which is about some projects you've worked on with regards to gender-based violence and behavioral change. You've worked with over 5,000 young people to address gender-based violence. What strategies have you found most effective in shifting mindsets? You mentioned the fact that a lot of people don't actually understand what gender equality is. sometimes it's fair, some people just don't understand this because also there's misinformation, or they were just never told, or someone has ever explained to them what inequality is, or what gender-based violence, for an example, is. So what strategies have you find most effective in shifting those mindsets?
Yes, thank you very much. So, in 2020, yeah, I was serving as the coordinator for Young African Leaders Initiative, Lagos Network, that's Lagos Hub. And 2020 was a very interesting time for everybody globally. There was COVID pandemic, unexpected. Many people didn't expect
Mm,
COVID pandemic, and we just had to like start readjusting our lives, wondering if it will ever go, and all of those things. And in the
mm,
midst of trying to understand our lives, in the midst of trying to make sure that irrespective of what's going on, we are still thriving and all of that, people still had the mind to violate women and girls' rights sexually.
mm,
I'm going to use Nigeria as a case study. For in Nigeria
yeah.
back then, the news was quite serious. In fact, there was a
Mm,
particular one that when I read that news, or I heard the news, I couldn't believe my ears and my eyes. And this one was
mm,
actually rape of a particular young girl. Her name is Uwa. UWA. You
mm,
can check it up. Uwa. Uwa was a 100 level student, I think in Uniben. Of course, they've all asked everybody to go back home and just stay indoors because of COVID. And she was still hoping that, of course, one day this COVID will definitely go and we will all revert back to normal. So she was preparing, studying, and all of those things. So she would go into a particular church in her area and go there to just study in the quiet and all. And then that was where the incident happened. So somebody, I don't know if it's
mm,
somebody or a group of people, because to date we've not gotten any um, concrete information as to if it's just a person or if it's a group of people, of men rather. And so this
mm,
person actually raped her and murdered her. So to me, that was quite a serious issue. And like I said, there was also a lot of other incidents that was happening in the country. And I began to ask
mm,
myself some questions. And the question I asked myself is, one, these cases are what we call reported cases, right? They are the ones that got
mm,
to the news eventually.
mm,
So we hear things like, oh, 1 in 3 has been sexually abused, 1 in 5 has been sexually abused. I like to say to people when I go for some events, I say, I think it's 5 out of the 5 that has gone through such issues one way or
mm,
another. Why do I say so? I say so because that 1 in 5 is the reported cases. We have the unreported cases. There are many survivors, especially in underserved communities, that do not believe in justice. They don't believe that their voices will be heard. They don't believe
mm,
that they are loved. Some of them do not are not even aware that there are sexual referral health centers, right? So, for instance, here in Lagos, we have sexual referral health centers, and their major aim is to provide free pro bono services, free counseling, whatever services they're providing to you is free. That's why they exist.
mm,
But many people are
mm,
not aware of those sexual referral health centers in Lagos and in Nigeria. So look at the issues I identified. I said some survivors, including like some people, including survivors, are not even aware that we have laws. Some are not aware that there are actually sexual referral health centers that you can actually get do services for free and all of those things. Some of them do not believe that there is justice. Some of them do not believe that people will actually listen to them and take actions. And it's not entirely their fault, because like I said again, it's because of the disinformation that has been spread you know
mm,
widely, especially on social media. We've seen cases of people that you know come out to say, oh, I was raped, I was this, I was that, I was sexually abused, and all of those things. And immediately, what do you
mm,
see? Victim. People begin to ask questions. What were you doing there? Why did you wear this? How are you friends with this person? Those kind of questions. What those questions
mm,
do, first of all, that person that has even managed to find their voice to speak up will definitely go silent because they believe that they're already blaming me. It means that I'm the one at fault, and the person just goes silent. Therefore, those that of course are on social media too, and they are seeing how this is going, it's not a
Mm.
prayer that I give to everybody, but when it happens, or if it happens to them or to anybody close to them, the first thing they'll remember is that kind of incident that happened when that person spoke up, and they will just also bottle it up and go silent. And this is why you see, you know, a lot of survivors not speaking up because of that fear
Yeah.
of, they will not be believed or they will be judged. Like now we're having we listen, we don't judge. But the people will listen and they will judge you because they just believe that whatever it is that happened to you, especially since you're a woman, it means that it's your fault. So all of these
Mm.
stereotypes, all of this misinformation, all of these myths are things that really piqued my interest, and I decided to also launch into that space. And
Mm.
fortunately, we were funded by Voice Global for about a year. That was in 2021. So we're able to go into schools. We're able to go into underserved communities. In fact, we didn't just focus on just women and girls. We also focused on boys in the schools.
Mm.
I was nominated as a peer educator by the United Nations Youth Population Fund, as well as Lagos State governments. And we're able to go into schools, secondary schools, government secondary schools, to speak to these boys, using manuals that will help to clarify things like, what even amounts to sexual abuse. Some people don't even realize that their actions at that particular time is sexual abuse. Some people believe
Mm.
that because I'm a man, I should be allowed to do so, 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 and so. I should be allowed to, touch a lady inappropriately. And then when they're being cautioned, they feel like it's just normal. What is it that I've done that is wrong? The person is beautiful. You hear some things and you just be shocked. The person is beautiful. Those are the kind of stereotypes and misinformation and disinformation that has been spread widely. And a lot of people have
Mm.
felt that it's a norm and it needs to be countered, it needs to be debunked. There's a particular market, I'm not going to mention that market, um, in Lagos State, here in Nigeria. I don't know how I believe this is also like where I say it happens in other countries too. It's a very crowded market.
Yeah.
And if you are a woman, if you don't, hold yourself well, you just see a lot of people groping your body and all of these things under the guise that they're trying to draw your attention to buy their market and buy their food. So we had to even go there and conduct an advocacy work, an awareness work during the International Women's Day. That was in 2021 when we launched out,
Mm.
to educate them using different languages from they're using different languages, especially the major languages, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, and then of course English, speaking to them to let them know that all of these things are wrong, to let them know that there are laws, criminal code, for instance, has said when you do
Mm.
this, this is what it is, especially with the fact that there's no consent, which is very important. There's no consent. The person that you are already touching inappropriately, or that you are raped or you are sexually abusing, has not consented to that. In fact, letting them know
Mm.
that the fact that this person is a minor, this person cannot even give consent in the first place. Clarifying them on what the law says. Even on our social media, we had to run a campaign, an online campaign, which we tagged hashtag rethinking gender violence. And there we just broke down the ways by which all of these things happens. Because sexual gender based violence is even just one of them, but that's like our focus areas. There's the psychological, there's the domestic violence, there's the workplace violence, there's the economic violence, right? And people need to be
Mm.
aware. That's why I even started out by saying that even that 1 out of 5 is just based on statistics and of course the ones that are reported. But I dare say
Mm.
that it's 1 out of 5 because in the process of even getting more information about this gender inequality, you get to realize that wow, this kind of thing has happened before, but you didn't even know that it's wrong or it should not be tolerated, because somehow we've just, maybe
Mm,
culture or society has made it the norm. And so those are the things that we are working at as Sexual Offences Watch Observers, which is our other pillar, to demystify and, just counter this disinformation online. So both online and outside, going into the underserved communities, we're empowering them with knowledge, inciting because that way we're inciting behavioral and attitudinal changes. Because if you are not informed, you definitely, there cannot be a change. Because if you know better, you will do better. That's just it.
better. True, true. What role do you think men and boys play in addressing gender-based violence?
Yeah, so I mentioned that, some of our target beneficiaries were also boys. I
Mm,
even partnered, I remember partnering with a particular organization here in Nigeria. It's called Life After Abuse Foundation.
mm,
Coincidentally, that foundation is founded by a woman. Yeah, her name is
mm,
Halima Lawani. You can check her out. But her focus is on men. So,
mm,
when I ventured into this advocacy space, this gender equality, I realized that we shouldn't just focus more on only the women and girls, even though they are like the victims or the survivors as they are called, but also on these men. We know that it's not all men, but like on these men, because some of them do this, perpetrate this out of ignorance, even though ignorance is not an excuse under the law. But like I said, if you know better, you do better. So some of them have themselves been abused, right? And then so they moved on from being a prey to becoming a predator. So most men have been taught not to speak up when they go through such a thing. Most men believe that,
mm,
that ego and pride will not let them to say, okay, this is what has happened to them, this is what somebody has done to them, and they kind of bottle of these things. And somehow it makes them now become vicious, and then they begin to now prey on others. And culture, like I said, culture and even society, even family. There are some families that are enablers of um some of these, what's the word now that I'll use, some of these wrong beliefs and wrong actions that are taken by people. Because when you hear things, especially when you're growing up, when they're saying you are the man, you are the man, you are the man, it means there is a license to just behave abnormally for some people. It means it's the license for them to just treat people anyhow, especially the other gender, because they just believe that I'm the man, you're the woman. So there's a lot of
mm,
orientation that needs to go, a lot of awareness that needs to go for both genders, so that as we're speaking to the survivors and we're letting them know that you have rights, your rights have been invaded or infringed upon. There are laws, this is the way to go about reporting and all. We are also tackling the male gender, letting them know that we don't want a situation where it keeps going on and what we're just doing is that we are reacting. I don't know if this
mm,
makes sense. Like, we are reacting. We're supposed to be proactive. So we're supposed to be proactive and not just even preventing alone, but totally curbing and reducing the incidence of gender-based violence, of gender inequality. So men and boys actually play important role in all of this, and it begins by educating them and empowering them. That's why we have the hashtag He for She campaign. I think by the United Nations, if I'm not mistaken, the hashtag He for She campaign. The idea is to get male supporters, because like I said, it's not everyone that is bad, that will
mm,
also speak up and lend their voices to these matters. And then of course when their fellow counterparts see that, okay, this person is a man, he is also speaking up against this, he's also supporting, but they're not doing bro code. Your friend is actually doing something wrong, but because of that bro code, you don't want to speak up for the lady or the woman or the girl. When men begin to speak up, then we're going to actually achieve a lot together.
mm, mm, mm. Definitely, definitely. That's quite insightful. So we're going to leadership and collaboration. You mentioned a number of times that you've been working with different organizations. What are the biggest challenges youth organizations face in Africa, or specifically in Nigeria? And how do you think you can overcome those challenges?
That's a very good question because I don't think there's any easy way or easy path to achieving greatness. There will always be challenges, right? And for CSOs or for NGOs, advocates like us, there are several challenges. One of them that is like topmost is funding for organizations. So
Yeah.
some people have that big goal, to reach 5,000, to reach just a good number of people, and to be able to achieve that
Mm,
requires a lot of funding. The printing out of the materials, the logistics, and all of that. And for me, I think collaboration plays a very important role. It helped me even when I launched out in 2021. We had
mm,
supports, like I said, from Voice Global. However, there was still the need for that collaboration with other organizations because you cannot do it alone. We still had to partner with
mm,
organizations like, of course, YALI, UNFPA, um, different peace building organizations, right? Like I can remember right now
mhm,
from the top of my head. And the idea was that where the fundings cannot really reach through collaboration, and because of the fact that we share the same vision, this person can
mm,
play an important part in probably just facilitating. So an organization can have experts and we just get them to be the experts, be the facilitators. Some organizations have the materials already. Of course, it's in their name, but then this is what collaboration is all about. It's not competition. So the fact that okay, let me give an example so that it's more clear. And 2021, we reached out to an underserved community here in Lagos, and because there was this incidence of rape cases in that particular community, and it had gotten serious to the extent that when they report to the police station, the police will actually not even listen to them again. Why? Because when they report, they later come back to beg that the police should release the perpetrators. So what this means is that, from our research, right? What this means is that there's no anonymity. Do you see? So if you are reporting, it's clear. Everybody knows that it's you that went to report. And definitely it's easy to come and threaten or oppress that person, and then the person comes back to the police station to say, please release this person. But through the partnership with
mm,
Sexual Referral Health Center here in Lagos, Mirabel, what we did was that we helped to bridge that gap. So instead of you doing that reporting, all you have to do is to place a call directly through their helplines to this Sexual Referral Health Center and give them all the necessary details, right? All the necessary details in that particular community, and they take it up from there, and help to do all those filing of the case, reporting, and all. And so nobody really knows who is reporting, because we've kind of promoted that anonymity. So there's a lot of reporting, and the person feels safe and does not feel, excuse me, that they'll be threatened. That's what we did. Now, Mirabel Health Center also have, a lot of resources, materials. As at that time, we couldn't start printing our own materials and our own manuals. So there was nothing bad with collaborating with them, getting their own resources. And then when we have these workshops with them physically, we are sharing these resources as our partners. And it's a win-win, because the major part here is that these ladies are being empowered. These women and girls are having direct access to the sexual referral health centers without any gap whatsoever. And it really had a great impact in that community, because you see young girls really eager to learn more about gender equality, really eager to you know educate other people, to step down this training to other young people that were not able to participate at that time. They were really eager to do the reporting, and you could see that it kind of reduced, not it kind of reduced, it reduced that incidence of that rape and sexual violence in that community. I know this for sure because I still work with that community to date in different aspects, and I can see the impact that particular training and that workshop and those workshops that we had with them, just because of we collaborated not with the aim to compete, but with the aim to impact and just make sure that it's a win-win situation for everybody. So for us, it's a win-win. For the organizations we are collaborating with, the sexual referral health centers, is a win-win. For the beneficiaries of that community, is also a win-win. So I would encourage young people, advocates, CSOs to leverage more on collaboration, strategic collaboration. And it begins when you understand your acts. You are clear on what it is, that particular project that you want to embark on, or that particular course program that you want to embark on, the different phases, and what will be involved, what is needed per time. And then of course now analyzing to know what is present or what is available on your own end, and what is still needed. And through collaborations with other organizations, when you pitch the idea well, you can definitely get that support and do a lot together. I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm muted. I'm sorry about that. I forgot. And that was quite informative. So, how also important is collaboration, and what advice do you think you have for strengthening partnerships among organizations? I think you answered most of the questions, but main question is, what advice would you give to other organizations on how they can strengthen those strategic partnerships?
Yes, so just like I've mentioned, I said even before embarking on a partnership,
Mm,
you need to
mm,
understand your why, you need to understand your
mm,
acts. And by
mm,
understanding your acts, it means you have full knowledge of that project or that program that you want to embark on. And you have been
mm,
able to analyze to understand the resources that are available per time,
mm,
for your organization. So it could be funding, it could be that you need experts knowledge, expert resources, and you don't have it at that particular time. But because you have been able to analyze that this is what is missing at this time, this is what I have,
mm,
you can be able to now pitch to the other organization that you've identified, that probably have the funding, that probably have
mm,
the expert knowledge, that probably even have the people that you want to
mm,
impact. And then you are able to clearly um clearly make your ask to them, right? It comes
mm,
through
mm,
partnership email being sent to them. And then, of course, you are also communicating, because it's not just about saying, "Oh, I want to partner with you." They agree, and then it ends there. There's still that need of communication, letting them know where everybody is, or where everything is at per time, where the project is, the phases that will be involved. Even as you close the project, everybody is still working together to probably creating a report and all of those things. And then you are still keeping in touch with each other. You are when for instance you're posting on social media, you are doing it in collaboration with those organizations, so people know that yes, these are the organizations that you're working with, and they are credible, they're verified, and they're reliable. So for
mm,
any partnership strategic for any organizations, and like I said, based on my experience, the ask has to be very clear. And it cannot be clear when you do not have robust information about the projects that you're embarking on, what is available
mm,
per time, what is still needed. So it doesn't
mm,
still take away the need to get fundings, from grant donors, like when you apply, or probably even looking for some fundraising techniques that can work for your organization per time. But collaboration, when it's leveraged, can really go a long way.
Thank you so much for that. So, finally, before we go to the questions from people who are watching, looking ahead, what's your vision for the future of youth activism in Africa?
Hmm. So for youth activism in Africa, looking ahead, I would say we're having, I see more young people being interested in advocacy and activism. And I say this
Mm,
because there's still a lot of issues that needs to be brought to the forefront. And these issues affect us young people. I mean, we constitute more than 60% of population, especially in Africa. Constitute more than
mm,
60% of the population. And these issues, whether we like it or not, whether you choose to be silent or to speak up, still have a way of affecting young people. So I see
mm,
youth activism as um, one that has to be a kind of, that has to have a unified front, a unified front in the sense that we are not competing against each other. We're not
yes.
competing against each other, but we're working collaboratively to making sure that we are promoting the SDGs, we are tackling the issues that we've identified, and we're creating impact. So um, somehow each day, each month, in the news, we still see a lot of issues arising, from insecurity to violence to gender inequality to lack of
Mm,
access to education. There's still a lot of work to do. So what we need to do as youth right now is to join hands together, work collaboratively, and empower others also, for them to be able to, you know, understand their role and to join hands together to work towards
mm,
creating a better future for us all.
definitely, definitely. Now let's hear from our audience. If you have any questions for Rohama, drop your the questions on the comment section. We did receive some questions. I'm going to choose about two or three of them um, for Rohama here. The first question is from Nia in Lagos. Rohama, what role do you think storytelling plays in inspiring behavioral and societal change, especially in addressing gender based violence?
Thank you, Nia. I think this is a very, very good question, because storytelling plays a very important role in inspiring behavioral and societal change. And for you to be a good storyteller, it means that you are able to communicate clearly the issues of gender-based violence and how it affects women and girls. And then, of course, you are creating a kind of call to action for people, your audience on social media, to be able to not just even social media, whether on site or online, leveraging technology. You are creating a call to action for them to also join hands with you, either through their support financially or through their collaborations, maybe via their organizations, to helping to create more awareness around gender-based violence. Storytelling is very effective because, for instance, when you come on to a social media platform like LinkedIn, and you are beginning with saying, with a header like this, saying the statistics are grim, and then you are given the
Mm,
statistics that are actually obtainable right now on the internet. What the internet is saying, that 1 in 5 women have been sexually abused, one in 3 women, or 1 in 3 women under the age of 15 have gone through sexual abuse, and you are giving all those statistics. People are understanding that this is a real issue. There are statistics to back this up, and these are the way the violence occurs, through these different signs that you also help to break down through storytelling, and then how they can actually take steps to avoid, to prevent, and help to curb sexual gender-based violence, for instance, in the society. So storytelling plays a very
mm,
important role. It can come in the form of reel, it can come in the form of video, it can come in the form of addressing a particular issue that is you found in the news. So I'll give you an example. um there was a particular time on Instagram, I will just come online and create a video. So I could see a headline where they say, where it says, oh, um a a particular person, a particular man, maybe a particular age, has been sentenced to so imprisonment for defiling a 2-year-old child. And I bring that news, and I begin to analyze what it's all about, what that person has done, how this child is a minor, storytelling. This is just me now and my video and my face in the video, and I'm throwing more lights on what these issues is all about, what the law says, what the provisions are, what are the penalties, and why even this is a good judgment. So anybody that is watching the video or listening in at that time gets to gain more understanding about what has really happened and how we even got to that stage. I started an Instagram live session sometime in the middle of this year, which I tagged Vantage Points. And what I did is to bring people that work on the field, gender equality activists, for them to get more inside details about, what they go through, even on the field, and how they help to, bridge that gap between survivors and sexual referral health centers. And, through these questions that I asked them, as well as the questions that the audience also asks, we get to gain more insight because it's storytelling. You see a lot of people telling you how they even started their journey. Some people that are gender equality advocates have not gone through, may not have gone through, violence or abuse at any time. But just because of that part of empathy and the part of understanding what the law says, the part of understanding human rights, and the fact that people need to speak up, be the voice for the voiceless, they just take it upon themselves to begin to go about that advocacy. So storytelling can come in different forms and it's very effective. And technology is a great enabler for any storytelling whatsoever. I can't hear you.
I was saying definitely that is quite informative. So I'm just going to pick another question from Ayanda in Cape Town. Ayanda asked, "You've done, you've done amazing work combating misinformation. How do you think AI tools and technology will influence the fight against disinformation in the future?" That's quite interesting.
Yes. So to just rest, thank you, Ayanda, for your feedback and also the question. So the AI tools and technology are actually already playing huge role in the fight against disinformation, even currently.
Mm,
And that's with regards to fact checking tools. Those fact checking tools are actually AI tools that have been
mm,
programmed in a way that they help to, fact check in good time whatever news or that you want to verify, or video or pictures that you want to verify before you begin to share. They're actually AI tools, right? So it's just that they've been programmed in a way where they can be able to do quick research. They're faster. They're able to do quick research online and get you the required information that you need. Even though AI tools also is still being used on the negative side, there are still the positive aspect of AI, because artificial intelligence is not meant to overthrow humanity per se. It's not meant to overthrow humanity or make people feel incapacitated. But if it's leveraged effectively, like for instance against disinformation, we can be able to curb to the barest minimum disinformation propaganda, even right now, not even in the future, even beginning from this present moment.
mm, mm, mm. Quite interesting. And the final question from Kofi in Accra. Do you think governments in Africa are doing enough to support youth-led initiatives? Or are are young leaders forced to rely more on external partnerships and funding?
How I'll answer this question is to say that government in Africa can do more. That's how I'm going to put
Mm,
it. Government in Africa can do more to support youth-led initiatives through the policy frameworks that exist in that particular country or that particular society, through the various initiatives, even sometimes collaborating with these youth-led initiatives, and making sure that it's not a form of tokenism. So by tokenism, just because they want to look good, and let's say they're having a kind of a round table or a dialogue, they just make sure that they bring two or three young people so that it looks like we're being included. But for it to be very
Mm,
inclusive, it means that from the get-go, it has to be a cooperative approach. So they're working hand in hand with youth, and not adding youth as an afterthought. So this is why
mm,
we need to pay attention to the kind of people that we vote into power, because, like
mm,
I said, even if you choose to be silent or you choose to look away and act like it doesn't concern you, somehow it will still have a way of affecting you, because when the wrong people get into power and they begin to create policies that does not favor youth-led initiatives, or that does not promote the young people in good light, then of course young people will be affected. And by that time it's become very difficult to create that change because of the kind of people that are in power. But when we're active citizens, and we're demanding accountability and transparency, and we're bringing in the right people, then of course it can transform, or yes, it can transform into the right policies, the right frameworks, the right support for these youth-led initiatives, because we have brought in people that understand what the youths are all about, that understand the pulse of the youth, and are able to make sure that it's an inclusive and not as an afterthought or a tokenism kind of support.
mm, mm, mm. That's quite interesting. And thank you so much, Rama, for sharing your journey and valuable insights to our audience. Thank you for your engagement tonight. Just a quick reminder for those who are watching, this playback of the session will be available on our YouTube and LinkedIn pages. And it will also be edited into a podcast coming soon on Youth Evolve podcast. Ruhama, any final words before we close? Anything that you'd like to say before we close?
Okay, so again, thank you so much for this invitation. It's been a great honor sharing my experiences, sharing my journey as I evolve, and of course, also seeing you on camera, my fellow youth evolve um, visionary. I use that word, visionary. And thank you, of course, to the audience that have joined in and have been listening and also asked questions. My final remark would be that young people, wherever you are, get involved, be included, make sure to be
Mm,
at the decision making process, learn to speak up, use technology to your advantage. Don't let it don't let it make you to look like someone that's at a disadvantage. Leverage technology for good, and also
mm,
join hands in combating disinformation. Remember to stop, reflect, and verify before you share information. Thank you.
definitely, definitely. Thank you so much, Ruhama, once again. Stay inspired, stay connected, and keep evolving. Until next time, bye bye.